She got her own house. She got her own house. She got her own house. Hey family, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about a little discussed Naca requirement. So let's talk about it. We are going to be discussing a requirement that Naca actually has, but it's not really pushed towards the forefront like a lot of their other requirements. And this is something that could potentially get you in trouble or cause you to, not be able to close on time if you don't pay attention to this requirement, okay? All of the talk is normally about payment shock, payment shock, payment shock. Don't stop saving your payment shock until you close on your home. But another little talked about Naca requirement, like it's there, okay? But it's not broadcast, is the fact that you need to have what is called reserves. Okay, now let me go ahead and say that this is not something that is specific to Naca. Every lender requires you to have reserves when it's time to close on your home. So what I mean by reserves is that you can't spend your last dime on your home to transfer over to the bank at closing and you're left with $0 in the bank, okay? That is not acceptable, not just for Naca, but like I just said, for any lender, regardless of which route you go, you are going to be required to have money left in your bank account, okay, that is liquid. So now we are going to go ahead and take a look in the workbook to see what Naca actually says in its own words about reserves. So I'm going to go ahead and flash it up on the screen now. And you can, as always, feel free to pause it, read at your own pace, or skip ahead if you've already read this portion, or pull out your own workbook and go to page 36. But let me go ahead and flash it on the screen now. So Naca reserve requirements. Naca requires reserves based on the following. Number one, payment shock. 1 month of mortgage payment if payment shock is less than $300. B, 2 months of mortgage payments if payment shock is greater than $300. Number two, self-employed, 3 months of mortgage payments. Number three, a multifamily, 4 months of mortgage payments for a duplex, 5 months of mortgage payments for a 3-family home, and 6 months of mortgage payments for a 4-family home. The mortgage reserves must be documented in your bank account prior to closing. Funds you saved as part of your payment shock savings can also be used for your reserves. The purpose of these reserves is to ensure you have some funds in the bank after you close. While the reserves can be used for any purpose, it is important that you have funds to move into your future house and to buy necessary household items such as furniture, appliances, accessories, as well as funds for deposits to start the utilities and other items. So reserves are a part of your minimum required funds. But remember, the minimum required funds that Naca gives you is only an estimate. Say that Naca told you when you got qualified that your minimum required funds were $5,000. But you went and you found a new construction home that caused you to have an earnest money deposit of, let's say, $2,500. So right then and there, your MRF is already halfway gone. So the other $2,500 you're going to need to pay for inspections. You're going to need to have an escrow at the closing table to cover your property taxes and insurances and stuff. And say that that all adds up to be the remainder of the $2,500. So at closing, you now have $0 in minimum required funds. Now, say, per the example, you don't have payment shock, because if you did have payment shock, you may be okay. But say you don't have payment shock, and again, you're doing a new construction home. So let's say it took you 4 months to close on your home, okay? So between the 4 months, you're not saving payment shock. All you're doing is saving your additional $200 surplus per month, okay? So that is, dun, 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 $800 over those 4 months, okay? So say that your mortgage payment is actually going to be $1,500 or $1,600 or something, whatever, more than $800 that you currently have been saving with your $200 surplus. So that means that you now have a $700 delta that you should be having in your bank account in addition to the $2,500, okay? So just because you're saving the $200 every month, still, you need to make sure that you are remaining diligent. I know it's super hard to continue to stay disciplined and save more than what you can possibly imagine, but please pay attention to this requirement, okay? Especially if you have payment shock. As you can see what they just said in the workbook, you're going to be required to have 2 months worth of mortgage payments, okay? If your payment shock is more than $300. If your payment shock is less than $300, or obviously if it's zero, then you still need to have 1 month worth of reserves, or AKA 1 mortgage payment in your bank account at the time of closing. Now let's continue reading in the workbook to see what Naca says about reserves. Again, I'll go ahead and flash it on the screen now. Reserves can later assist you with your monthly mortgage payments and allow you to keep your home if you suffer a setback, loss of income, or other unexpected expenses. Most experts agree that you should have a dedicated savings reserve account with at least 3 months, but preferably 6 months, of monthly mortgage payments. You should have more reserves if you purchase a multifamily home. Saving money requires a financial plan that contains specific, measurable, and achievable goals. The work you do on the budget will be helpful in meeting your savings goal. Your savings will help with some of the following situations you may encounter: major home repairs, loss of tenants or rent, a family crisis, federal or state taxes, major medical expenses, loss of employment, separation or divorce, disability, increase in property taxes, or insurance costs. I definitely agree with Naca that it is a best practice to continue having a separate account just for quote unquote an emergency fund, okay? So I definitely am a supporter of the idea of having an emergency fund, but definitely pay attention to your, I don't want to call it spending, but the money that you're having to shell out on the front end and what you may have to shell out at the closing table so that you can make sure that you are covered. So whether that means you have to cut out more stuff, maybe you need to go start driving for Uber Eats or DoorDash or something to pick up some extra dollars to put towards your reserves, or whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you are being able to meet your surplus and your payment shock, as well as have your reserves left over in your account after you have transferred all of your money to the bank at closing. And you will have to have it there per Naca at the closing table. You can't transfer all of the money and then say, well, I don't have anything left in my account right now, but I get paid on Friday. Okay, that's not gonna work. So make sure that you are saving right now so that you do not delay your closing. But don't forget, guys, if your payment shock is $0 to $299, you need 1 month worth of mortgage payment in addition to any other MRFs that you're saving. If your payment shock is $300 or more, then you need 2 months worth of mortgage payments in your reserves. If you are self-employed, you need 3 months in mortgage payment reserves. If you are buying a duplex, you need 4 months of mortgage payment reserves, and it just goes up from there. Okay, guys? So do not forget. But if I forgot anything, I apologize. I hope this video was super helpful. If I forgot anything, then definitely jump down in the comments and let's talk about it. And of course, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next video, because it takes a village.